If we mention volunteering, if you ever fancy doing a little bit of volunteering, to be honest, this is something I've thought about recently. I think, I've got a few hours in my hand. What could I do? I did some dog walking at the Dogs Trust once. I really enjoyed that. It was, a couple hours a week. It didn't take a lot out of my time. Maybe it's something you fancy doing. Maybe you've retired. Maybe you just fancy doing something for a cause that's very close to your heart. Well, what about dedicating 32 years of your life to saving the lives of others? Because that's what Redcar RNLI's Operations Manager David Cammish has done. And now, after 1,200 launches and bringing 800 people to safety, he's ready to step down and hopefully have a bit of a rest. Let's speak to him now. Dave, that's a long time.
Not half as long, Lisa, to be honest. Those are the official dates, 35 years at Redcar.
Right.
But I was born into a lifeboat family at Scarborough.
Right.
And so from my very earliest days, I've known nothing different, really.
Right.
As a little lad, I used to get in the way as we did. And, I just used to mess about and do what I did in those days until I was old enough to join. And then eventually found my way to Redcar, on the boat crew at Redcar for, 15 years or thereabouts. And then I became a deputy launching authority. And 7 years ago I became the boss of the station. But for a little lad like me from Scarborough, messing about as we did as children, I could never have imagined that one day that I would command my own lifeboat station on the North Yorkshire coast. But that's the privilege that I've had. There's a lot of commitment involved, but I wouldn't have it any. In fact, I don't know any other way because I've never really known life without it.
You must have a very understanding family, Dave. Because I know those pagers can go off at any time.
But I married a girl from Filey who lived within Maroon range of Filey Lifeboat Station, so she knew what she was taking on at the time. But you're right, my children have, they've been brought up fully understanding where Dad's going, and at the drop of a hat, a birthday party or anything like that can just, be pretty much halted as Dad flies out the door as the pager goes. There's no messing about or holding back. And our wives, of course, when we go to, I don't want to make anybody seasick this time of day, but I mean, when we go to sea in not very kind weather in the middle of the night, sometimes in the middle of the winter, we may very well be in the boathouse drinking hot soup or something a little stronger than that on standby. But for the one that's left at home, with the wind and the rain and the windows rattling, they can only imagine what we're getting up to, and it may be that we're not getting up to anything really. But that's it. That goes with the job.
Have you had a highlight at all, Dave?
I thought about that since your colleague rang me. I tell you what, there is one, and it's a bit of a tearjerker, really, but it's a date that's etched on my brain. 28th of February 1993, at 10 minutes to 6 in the evening, our colleagues in the Hartlepool offshore lifeboat capsized off Redcar in quite nasty conditions, very severe conditions. And the young man who became a personal friend and who is now the current coxswain of the Hartlepool lifeboat was lost overboard. And something like a 25-ton lifeboat dropped on him from about 50 feet in the air, and he was washed overboard and apparently, very, very near to being lost. A rescue helicopter spotted a tiny little light that's no bigger than an inch across on his life jacket, and managed to get him to safety. But what always sets going the strings on my heart is the fact that I spent some time in the back of the ambulance with Robbie while he was getting ready to be taken to Middlesbrough General Hospital. But in the main, the thing that really gets me is that I was patched through with a Coast Guard radio to Hartlepool Lifeboat Station and was able to break the news to his mum and dad, who were gathered with the rest of them waiting perhaps bad news. And I was able to give them the good news that their son had survived and I'd been talking to him and that they would be reunited with him in Middlesbrough General Hospital in 20 minutes' time. That was something. There are many, many memories out of those 1,000 service calls that you just mentioned, but that one is one, and at 10 minutes to 6, 28th of Feb, every year we drink a toast. Those guys that were there, we still to this day drink a toast to the life of Robbie Maiden, my great friend.
You've given me goosebumps with that story.
In my heart.
You've given me goosebumps with that story. It's a lovely story. I think I speak on behalf of everybody when I say thank you so much for the time that you've given over the past 32 years and all the work that you've done for the RNLI.
It's been my privilege, you know, because I love doing what I'm doing. And I've actually applied, like the politicians do, I've applied for a recount. And I don't hold out any hope, really, but I'm hoping that they might find a couple of years somewhere and I can go back and continue. Other than that,
Dave, go and have a rest.
I'm up to my use-by date, and that's that.
Dave, go and have a rest. You've earned it. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Dave Cammish there from the RNLI, finally taking a break. Let's head very, very quickly.